Hello, artists and designers. We're going to work on understanding how to use the universal color palette inside of Animate today. The reason for doing this is that in total 8% of men and 0.5% of women have different types of color blindness. And so we really want to help all people of all vision types to be able to see and experience art in a way that can be impactful for them. So the color swatch set that I have here on the right is set up for web, and some of these colors, especially these greens and this red, will be too bright for those with color impairment. So what we've done is we've set up the universal color palette, and this is an image inside of Animate, but I want to be able to use them as swatches. So we've already created a swatch set, and I'm going to go in my swatches panel to the hamburger menu, and I'm going to click replace colors. And I'm going to pull up the universal color swatches -animate.clr file that I have already downloaded and placed in my brushes and presets folder, and say open. And now all of the colors that are in this color palette are now applied inside of the color swatches. I can go up to that hamburger menu and I can save this as default. That will ensure that when I work in the future that I'll be working within the universal color palette, which recognizes red, green, blue, yellow color blindness. So I'm going to say yes to that and help all people experience color in an effective way. But you might ask, can I use any other colors besides what is in this palette? And I can show you how to work with that. Let's say you'd really like to have an intense yellow. So we're going to pick one of these yellows. I'll pick from the more green end of the spectrum here. And so I'll take this color, and I would be able to dump and paint and use it in my line tools. But if I go to color, we can kind of explore where this range is. So the brighter areas is where we don't want you to go to a more intense yellow in this direction. You can go darker, you can go lighter, and you can go more neutral, but don't go towards the more saturated section of the color. If you would like a different kind, you can go into color and just check out all these different areas. So once you start moving this, like these greens may not be effective, so you want to go back into these swatches and check that green and go into color. And you can see we've got a pretty intense green, but we don't want to go up into this brighter area because that won't track for those with the color abilities that we're talking about, like Duratinopia. Okay, so those are things to keep in mind as you use the universal color palette in Animate. Looking forward to seeing all the colorful work that you create. These are the universal color palettes. This is where you can see it in contrast to the full color palette for print and web. Those with color impairments will see the full color palette in this way. So this is the universal color palette, and we're excited to see it start to be used in your artwork. So this color palette also adjusts for CMYK printing. So in terms of universal color, we are allowing for the work to be visible on screens as well as in print, and for those with different types of color blindness as well as color typical. So in terms of CMYK print readiness, the most saturated colors have been toned down within the range that can be achieved with offset CMYK printing. So you might ask yourself, yellow is a color that can be seen by those with color blindness. So why can't it be brighter or more saturated? So if I click onto this color swatch of that brightest yellow, click into here. If we were to go over into this more saturated section, then these most saturated sections of yellow, red, all of the colors are not printable because they rely on the light of the screens to be able to come through. So the yellows, you can only go darker, so you can go down, you can go lighter to the white, and you can go more neutral, but do not go towards the right top corner. If I go into swatches, we can find other yellows that may give us a different location, still not wanting to go into that top right corner to keep it print friendly. Let's select a color that also you might question, like one of the blues. So this is a bright blue. If I go into color, the suggestion is to not go into these bright saturated colors at the top right, but to only go down into the darker, lighter, and into the more neutral. So in this way, the universal color palette allows for red-green colorblind, blue-yellow colorblind, color typical, RGB, and CMYK. So you should be able to create some awesome art and design that applies this color science to it, and we look forward to seeing everything that you create.